I'm going to call to order this meeting of the board of directors of TAMC. With that, I'm going to turn ask staff to take us through a quorum check.
District 1, Supervisor Alejo.
Linda Gonzalez, alternate.
District 2, Supervisor Church. District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Present.
District 4, Supervisor Askew. District 5, Supervisor Daniel. Present. City of Carmel by
Present.
City of Del Rio.
Here.
City of Gonzalez.
Here.
City of Greenfield. City of King City.
Present.
City of Marina.
Here.
City of Monterey.
Present.
City of Pacific Grove.
Here.
City of Salina.
Present.
City of Sac City. Present. City of Seaside. City of Soledad. Kara, we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to see if perhaps doesn't mind leading us in the pledge this morning. The flag should be up on the screen momentarily.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, at this point, I'm going to open up public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to share comments regarding items.
Well, we can't do it because nobody's here.
Of this body. We invite folks to use the raise hand function via Zoom, *9 via landline, or to come forward in room in order to make public comment. I will start with folks in room. Is there anybody in room who wishes to make public comment this morning? Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker.
No.
See nobody coming forward in room. Do I have anybody via Zoom?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see any hands up, but I did hear a voice. I'm assuming that's you, Brian, based on the green box around your screen. We'll go ahead and give you 2 minutes to share your public comment now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There wasn't a raised hand thing on the Zoom, so I had a hard time getting on here. I want to talk about what needs to have some clarification. Clarification in the Coast Weekly, Monterey County Weekly article, Lisa Reinheimer claims it's $120 million a mile to return the rail. Now, I understand TAMC is saying it's $230 million total. There needs to be some clarification because they can't both be true. I'm also concerned about the TAMC rail memo that says that TAMC and both MST and TAMC own property near the proposed 5th Street surf station they would like to develop. Well, we know that under state law near a major transit line there can be almost unlimited density, so it would be very, very profitable. When I brought this up at the MST meeting, nobody addressed it. And according to MST's Lisa Reinheimer, that wasn't on the property of the list of properties that was included that MST wanted to sell. And I don't know if that's true. She's saying that it's $120 million apparently to bring the train. So I'm not sure what's back. So I don't know what's true. And apparently that TAMC rail memo, which was quoting Mr. Muck, is probably true. But this all needs to be clarified. It's just, I think we need to clarify, does the public really want to spend $105 million on this project at this point? This is something the politicians very much want. After politicians worked on the coastal commissions, that coastal commission did an about face when they found alternatives to be feasible, but every alternative became infeasible because it would take time to study and there were no active plans in the work. But an alternative has to actually be looked at whether it's feasible or not, and why wouldn't a bus on shoulder or carpool lane work? Are we out of time?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
See any other hands up via Zoom at this time? So I'm going to go ahead and close our general public comment and proceed forward with our consent agenda. That is item 3 on this morning's agenda. Is there a member of this body who wishes to pull an item from consent for a comment or alternative action? I see no hands up. Is there any member of the public who wishes to pull an item from consent for comment or alternative action? Seeing nobody coming forward in the room, no hands up via Zoom, I'll go ahead and bring it back and see if there's a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Got a motion from Smith, second from Carbone, and I'm gonna ask Eloise to take us to a roll call vote.
District 1, alternate Gonzalez.
Yes.
District 2, Supervisor Church.
Aye.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4, Supervisor Askew.
Aye.
District 5, Supervisor Daniels.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Yes.
City of Del Rio.
Aye.
City of Gonzalez.
Aye.
City of Greenfield. City of King City.
Aye.
City of Marina.
Aye.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Salinas.
Aye.
City of Sand City. Aye. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you so much. All right,
Well.
go back to Seaside.
All right.
City of Seaside.
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
both locked. With that, we're gonna move to item 4, the election of officers. I have at the beginning of this, starting with a report from the chair and first chair. I'm sorry, from the nominating committee. There's a report. I'm gonna see if Mayor Labar wants to take us through the recommendations briefly.
Sure. We had. I, as the past chair. And Supervisor Lopez as the chair met as a nomination committee to discuss. The vacancy at the chair level that was previously announced. What we had proposed is to move everybody up one. So that would mean Supervisor Eskew as chair. Director Pedori as first vice chair, Supervisor Alejo to second vice chair. Supervisor Lopez will be past chair. And then to add Supervisor Church for the county representative. And then Mayor Rios for the city representative.
All right, thank you. Is there any comments from this body? We'll go out to the public, see if there's any public comment on that recommendation. Hearing none, seeing no hands up via Zoom, I'll bring it back. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion from Sandoval, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Oglesby. We'll go back to Eloise for a roll call vote.
District 1, alternate Gonzalez.
Aye.
District 2, Supervisor Church.
Aye. Aye.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4, Supervisor Askew.
Aye.
District 5, Supervisor Daniels.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Yes.
City of Del Rio.
Aye.
City of Gonzalez.
Aye.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Marina.
Yes.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Salinas.
Aye.
City of Sand City. Aye. City of Seaside.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you, Eloise. And with that, before I turn the gavel over, I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to lead this organization. It has been an honor to sit with all of you. I've learned so much from each and every one of you. I think about the dedications to speak from the heart and to allow my emotions to sometimes be on my sleeve that I learned from Mayor Delgado, from Chaps, to always ask the inquisitive questions. And even when at times you will say, everyone knows the answer, but I've got to ask, and I appreciate that. Turning to my left, Ed, your consistency here from the time that I've been here, you've been here, and you've always had a dedication to making sure that all sides of this county get seen. It's an honor to sit and serve with each and every one of you. And so as I wrap my term as chair, my commitment has been with another agency that I sit on is that I'm not going away. I'm still here to serve, and I'm going to do whatever I can to move this agency and our agenda forward. I know that the vision that we have is one of collective safety for our communities from coastal, north, south. And as we work together to bring those visions to reality, it has been an honor to help lead this organization for the last year. So thank you for the honor. And with that, I will happily turn the gavel over to my colleague, Supervisor Eskew. That's it. That's how it
Ooh. Well, thank you so much. And again, Chris, thank you so much for all you run a great meeting and you set the bar really high. So I will do my best to continue with the expectation that you've laid for all of us. I did want to just, for our board, let you know I'm always available. If you have questions, comments, feedback, feel free to reach out to me personally. I'll make sure my cell phone number is available. And I know our staff is always available as well. If you can't reach me directly, feel free to reach out to my staff so that we can get something scheduled. So with that, I think we've taken care of item number 4, and we will move on to item number 5, which is our presentation of the 2024 Transportation Excellence Awards. And I think I will pass the floor to Teresa Wright to present on our 2024 Transportation Excellence Awards.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And as you all have just heard, we are going to celebrate our 24th Annual Transportation Excellence Awards. So thank you for joining us. Each year, we present this award to recognize individuals, businesses, groups, people who help move our transportation forward. So today, we are going to honor an individual. Hold on. We're going to honor a group. And then we're going to honor a couple of programs. Just get the clicker working in the right direction. Okay, here we go. So let's start with the individual award. Today, we're going to award Dwight Stupp. Dwight has been very active with the Scenic Highway 68 Corridor Improvement Project. He's a community advocate, and he has been engaged with the public to provide information about this project. So let me tell you a little bit about what he's done. He's been behind the public campaign to install an adaptive signal controls along the 8 miles of Highway 68 corridor. He has erected signs at his own expense. He has developed a website called 9roundabouts.com, where people have gone to find out information about what he is proposing. He has sent numerous letters to the TAMC board. You all are aware of that. Dwight has been very consistent. Almost every single meeting he has been engaged with this agency and with this board talking about this project. He's worked with us, with our staff, with Caltrans. He's made numerous comments in the public. He's been on social media talking about this program, and he's been advocating on local talk shows and the press, as you see here. And as a result of all of his advocacy and his persistence, he has led you, this board, to vote unanimously to use $500,000 of Measure X funds to install adaptive signal controls at 9 intersections on Highway 68. The anticipated results is that this may potentially improve conditions along the heavily congested Highway 68 corridor, which we all travel, in advance of the ultimate roundabout project. So for all of that advocacy and all of his public efforts, we would like to recognize Dwight Stupp and congratulate him for these efforts. And Dwight, I'm going to ask you to come up, please.
You know what?
Funny picture.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Take advantage of this opportunity when I'm not on the clock for a change. Really want to thank you for this award and for the acknowledgement of the hard work and research that I did in showing what I hope is going to be a better alternative with AI adaptive signals as opposed to the originally proposed roundabouts for Highway 68. Want to thank the board for voting, for getting the AI adaptive installed, and also want to thank a few people that were also part of this campaign and made an important contribution. First of all, Barry Jones, who is an engineer who actually designed roundabouts in the UK. So he brought a significant amount of expertise to the campaign and also interfaced with Pasadena HOA to get them involved and support the project. I want to actually thank Doug Bilsey, who made himself available frequently to discuss and frequently debate the comparisons between roundabouts and adaptive. Also want to thank Roger Barnes with Caltrans, who was open to investigating the new technology of AI adaptive. Also appreciate the publicity that was noted here from the Pinecone Monterey Weekly and Monterey Tonight, the TV interviews, and especially thanks to the many individuals in the public who actually participated and visited the website, thousands of those, and interacted with me on Nextdoor, and then communicated with TAMC and Caltrans to give their opinions and really express what they thought was the best alternative for Highway 68. It's truly a group effort, and I want to thank the board again for this opportunity and for this acknowledgement of the work. Thank you very much.
Okay, so here we're going to move on to the group award. And there are a couple of them. So the first one is going to be the Toro Park Sarah Village Cut Through Traffic Pilot Project Community Group. So why do we need a group like that? I wonder. This. Everybody's been here. Everybody's probably been in this congestion, right? So this is what the problem was. And the residents of that community came to us because this is what was happening. You see 68 and people were using their streets and their neighborhood to bypass traffic on Highway 68. So the community came together. They took action by asking us in March of last year to meet with them to head a project to implement a traffic safety project with complete street features. And what you see on the screen are what their concerns were. The first one was school drop-off safety. A child was actually hit at that location. Pedestrian safety. People said they just didn't feel safe walking anymore in their neighborhoods. Aggressive drivers who make congestion just wreak havoc in their neighborhoods. Noise, the comment was, I don't need a clock to know when school starts. The residents felt landlocked. They needed to take back their neighborhoods. Traffic was getting worse by, not only was bypass traffic happening, but then there was bypass traffic happening, which Doug is going to tell you all about in his next report. And then it was only a few hours of the day. So people were looking like, what could the solutions be? Maybe it was just closing, gates that closed during the school hours. So that, as a result of that, this project developed the Toro Park Cut Through Pilot Project. A community group made up of neighbors in that community got together and said, let's work with TAMC, let's see what we can do. And then they were really, really critical about them talking to their neighbors and trying to get solutions that everybody would agree with and come to common ground about what a solution could be. So they help us form workshops. You see this is one here. They actively participated in those workshops, engaged. You can see that the handouts that were given, that people that attended these meetings had questions. They were engaged in that process. They participated in the workshops. This is our most recent one we had on January 15th, where people were voting on what solutions that they had. And the committee members actively involved in this tabled and led discussions, answered questions. And so you see them at work here, and again here, and here. So as a result of this pilot project, nearly 500 cars have been rerouted back on Highway 68. So we really want to thank this community group because they got results, right? And you're going to hear more about that, as I said later. But it was really this group that worked together that really made it happen. And it's a prime example, it's a great, excellent example about community engagement, people having a voice and a platform and working together to try to find a solution. And ultimately, it is a great example for us as a public agency that has that type of engagement, that the community can help lead our agency and other agencies to come forward and find solutions in a way that is effective to deal with a problem that's been, what, 30 years? There's been trying to find a solution to Highway 68. And I think that this group is just really, really a great example of engagement. And so I would like to invite the Toro Park Community Cut Through Pilot Project Community Group to come up here. Please come up. I see you.
Yeah, exactly.
Years. I don't know what in front of the podium.
Or just take a couple steps forward so you don't have a light. in your face. That's the- You want to try
I think we can see this slide right here.
You want the light in your arm?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
The gentleman in the Hawaiian shirt on the left. There we go, yeah.
Gotcha.
Why don't you just everybody?
No, it's too early. Good morning. I'd like to actually introduce you to the group and then just say a few words. My name is Suzanne Duverier. I'm the president of the HOA for Toro Park Estates. And I'm going to, this is Terry Russell. He's a resident of Toro Park and actually lives on what we call the west side, which had more impact than the rest of us did. This is Nick Belli, and I'm going to go right to Amanda, his daughter. They also lived on some of the streets where the cut through traffic was so fast and so hard that they wouldn't even let their nephew and grandson walk on the sidewalks. They wouldn't even want them to walk to school. Brigadino is from Sarah Village, because a lot of people didn't realize the impact Sarah Village was having. And when we started this, we actually had a phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1 was closing one of the streets in Toro. And then phase 2 was limiting the access on Portola, because people were then getting off at Reservation and just going like a bat out of hell up Portola and then down Portola. So they were affected very much. Harry Dixon is also from Sarah Village. Okay. The thing that I appreciated the most was how respectful everybody was to different opinions. We worked so cohesively, and it was a pleasure to be on this committee. And in fact, some of us are laughing, saying, oh, our committee's done. We're not going to meet with each other. I have to give 100% attributes to Doug. He is a fantastic facilitator. I watched him calm very angry people down. We did ignore a lot of nasty emails, didn't even bother replying to them. We just felt that your support kept us going, because we did have a child and a mother hit. Thank goodness they weren't hurt severely. We needed to take our neighborhood back, because for 3 hours every morning, some of us couldn't even get out of driveways. And on Portola in Sarah Village, sometimes the fire department couldn't get out of their driveways. So the people that were using us as another lane for Highway 68 needed to get pushed back onto 68. And like I said, everybody worked cohesively, respectfully, and I thank all of you for the pilot project for supporting us. And I don't know if any of my fellow committee members would like to say anything. Well, thank you so very, very much. Okay, the next award is a program award. And this is really a cool award. This is for the Safe Routes to School Salinas Valley Participatory Budgeting Steering Committees. So what is the Salinas Valley Safe Routes to School Plan? Our agency, along with Monterey County Health Department, Ecology Action, and the cities of Gonzales, Soledad, Greenfield, and King City partnered to develop the Salinas Valley Safe Routes to School Plan. This was a 2-year planning process which identified barriers to safe routes to school for 22 public schools in South Monterey County. And the plan was to recommend infrastructure and non-infrastructure improvements. So what is participatory budgeting? Participatory budgeting is a democratic process where community members get to decide how to allocate public fundings. Our agency, TAMC, is providing $250,000 of regional service transportation programs to the cities of King City, Greenfield, Soledad, and Gonzales to fund the projects that are identified. So the participatory budgeting in its entirety undergoes 4 different steps. It's the design process. It's forming the committees. It is presentations and outreach. So we couldn't do any of this without the collaboration with Ecology Action and the Health Department, because they had a lot of community-based organizations in each of those communities that they were connected to. And by our collaboration with them, we were able to reach out and get community members to participate in this process. And it was really exciting because the thing that was most important, particularly in South County, is we had people who had not engaged in the process before. People who had not had voices perhaps as powerful and not understanding the power of their voice. Just to have that active engagement and to get people involved in this process was just amazing. So for a total, they met a total of 8 months monthly. The process was that the meetings lasted, some of them up to 3 hours. Each of them had 10 to 30 members in their committee. And all of the meetings, here's the important point that I think led to the success of this, is most of those meetings were held in Spanish with translation in English, because it reflected the community, right? And it gave them the opportunity to have their voice heard and understood in the process. Once the steering committees were formed, the project team went over what the members' roles were going to be in the participatory budgeting process, with an emphasis that they had the power to drive the process. Let me go back here, sorry. In just a second. So the committees began by learning about the projects that will be included in the Salinas Valley Safe Routes to School Plan and which projects were going to be eligible for participatory budgeting funding. The committees began an election process where they set up the rules and procedures for county-wide process. Once the election planning is completed, the committees chose which projects would go onto the final public ballot. This part of the process required a lot of discussion. That's the slide here. And an important decision-making, since they had to narrow down a large list of projects. So you see them going through the process here. Each of the committees narrowed the project down to the most important ones, particularly those that have a direct connection to the school. And then they really went to work. They went to work out in the community. And you see that reflected here at farmer markets, at different events in their community. This one is a Halloween event in King City.
This one is again, the Soledad's Farmers Market. And then each of the committees, when they kicked it off, they had a lead event that they participated in, and then they went beyond that. Not only did they have a kickoff event, but then they went to everything that they could identify in their community that where they could reach people. So you see them here. You see people that have ballots in their hand. They're looking at it to get information about the project, to ask questions. You see the Paw Patrols, this is the puppets, the costumes that the agency has, because it's been very helpful in our outreach particularly when we're someplace outreach with kids. It's a great draw. It brings the kids, it brings the adults, and it gives us an opportunity to engage and to talk to them. And then not only did the committees do that, but they made sure that banners were on display in each of their communities at various locations. The voting period was 1 to 4 weeks. There was a lot of information to inform people about that and encourage them to vote. There was signage throughout the communities as to the voting locations. And you can see here that someone has a ballot right here where he's actually looking at it and he's making decisions. So once all of the projects were finalized for the ballot, the committee members then gathered all of the materials necessary to prepare for the community election. And then after the election, the votes were counted, and then each of those committees reviewed the results and then presented them to their city councils with recommendations of which projects they would like to see funded. And I can tell you that every single community approved those recommendations, and our agency is funding those projects. The objective here is to get short, quick turnaround projects that can be done within a 2-year time frame. Projects that are going to provide safe access to community members, to kids, to folks that want to walk around in their neighborhoods and their communities. And so let's recognize the people who did that. And I'm going to show you an example of one of the projects. This is the first project that was funded. It is in the city of Greenfield, and it's to build a sidewalk on the west side of 12th Street that would connect Oak Elementary School and Vista Verde Middle School. So who are the partners that we want to recognize? I'm going to start with the partners, the agencies. So I'm going to ask Ecology Action, if there's someone here from Ecology Action, to come up. All right. No one from Ecology Action. What about Monterey County Health Department? Yes.
They work for a great agency.
All right, please come on. I'm going to hand it to you. Stand in front of the podium, and then if somebody wants to speak, please do.
And while we're doing this, could we have our South County partners from board join us as well? I think that's important. So Gonzalez, Soledad, Dream City, Greenfield, yeah, come up and join us for this photo. Yeah, and come over here so you're not, we'll just stand on the side so we're not in the funny light. Thank you.
Let me hand this to you.
Okay. Right here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What would you like to speak?
Good morning. My name is Vicente Lara. I'm a program manager with the health department. I worked with the team that led the effort in South County around participatory budgeting at the health department. And just to provide a little context, in terms of why the health department stepped into this collaboration, we've been working with TAMC for some time now. And our leadership and the folks who have been supporting the active transportation work here locally and regionally, in terms of from a public health perspective, we understand that in terms of supporting and promoting health and wellness within our community, we have to look at working at multiple levels, right? At the individual level, providing health education, connecting folks with medical and health services in the community. But we also recognize the fact that if we're going to ask folks to live a healthy lifestyle, they have to feel comfortable being able to get on into their community. And so really thinking about how the built environment affects our community's perspective of safety and wellness and all that kind of all those different considerations. We really wanted to focus on really building our own capacity internally around supporting those efforts around building supporting built environments that promote health and wellness. And so that's kind of where we come in, really trying to promote that perspective. Now, in terms of participatory budgeting, this is a really innovative and exciting area. It's something that it was really new to us, and I'm very thankful for TAMC in terms of taking that step and wanting to try to implement this process here locally. And for us, we understand that as planners and as public health practitioners, we need a plan. We have to figure out how we're going to get from point A to point B. And so being able to not just come up with an effective plan around, again, creating environments where folks can feel safe and get out and be active in their community. What's also important is how we develop those plans. And so participatory budgeting really gives us that framework in terms of really engaging residents in a process where they're at the decision-making tables to really figure out how to allocate resources in terms of effective strategies. So I really want to just share my appreciation for TAMC and allocating Measure X funds to this process. And I'll plant a seed. I mean, I know we have a lot of jurisdictions in the room, and if there are local jurisdictions that are interested in kind of learning a little bit more about this process, feel free to reach out to the health department. We are here as a resource, and we'd be more than happy to kind of share our lessons learned. So, and we've replicated this process in North County, so a lot of lessons learned moving forward. So, thank you so much.
So now we're going to recognize the individual steering committee. So I'm going to ask the members of the Greenfield Steering Committee to come forward. So this is just a small representation of the group that's coming forward. This is the largest group of the committees, 38 members, 31 of them Spanish speaking, 7 English speaking.
Oh, yes.
Aaron, you're recording here.
I don't, go ahead.
Yeah. He has to get in the picture.
Yeah.
He's out county too.
Yes.
Aaron, you're in the light.
Okay, soon.
Yeah.
Lighter, there you go, okay,
There we go.
good, okay.
Oh, perfect.
Can you see
Yeah.
Jonica's?
Okay.
Very good.
I can see camera.
Okay.
Oh, look over here. 3, 2.
Okay.
Buenos días a todos. Es un honor para nosotros estar aquí y ser merecedores de un reconocimiento por el arduo trabajo en nuestra comunidad en el sur del condado. Estos pequeños proyectos son muy significativos para nosotros, ya que en nuestras comunidades es bien necesario. Así que agradecemos a todos por este reconocimiento y el apoyo también que los supervisores nos han brindado en el sur del condado. Gracias.
In translation, she said, thank you. While these projects may seem small in our community, they make a big difference. So she wanted to thank this board for its support, for putting forward the support in order to bring these projects to fruition in our communities that are so small, but often feel important. So thank you so much for this recognition of their hard work.
Okay, Gonzalez, can we get the Gonzalez Steering Committee to come forward? Again, this is a group of 15 members. So we have just representation here. And this group was made up of 6 English speaking and 9 Spanish speaking members.
We know that you're in.
Get to my scoop.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yes,
Come to my
this way.
microphone. Okay.
There you go, there you go.
Okay.
Open there.
Good to you.
Buenos días a todos. Gracias por esta oportunidad que nos dan en todo el condado. Quiero agradecerles que nos tomen en cuenta, ya que, como dijo mi compañera, hay muchas necesidades. Y también agradecerles que nos tengan aquí este día. Sé que no es fácil, pero agradecerles su tiempo y vuelvo a reiterarlo otra vez, que nos tomen en cuenta porque tenemos muchas necesidades y poco a poco estamos mirando los cambios. Gracias.
So to briefly translate, she too wanted to echo the words after saying good morning of her friend who spoke first and said that being here is an honor and having this organization see the needs in our communities. While these needs are small, they do make a difference because big picture, we have a lot of needs in South County. So having these investments make a big difference. So she thanked you for the investments that you're making in our little communities. So thank you.
Okay, the next group is King City, and I'm not sure if anybody from King City made it up. Aaron, you know? Okay, so Mayor LeVar, I just want to acknowledge the community that, the committee that worked in your community. They did amazing work, and I did see that at somewhere in the process, you recognized them as well in your city and recognize the committee members. So thank you for that. We will make sure that they get their certificates. The photo of some of their members. And as you have probably noticed, Aaron or Yannicka are in the photos because really the success of this on our team has been Aaron and Yannicka, who has worked diligently with each of these committees. So thank both of you for that as well. All right, let's bring Soledad up. Representatives from Soledad. She is standing here representing a group of 17 members, 15 English speaking and 2 Spanish speakers. In this one.
Okay.
She was in the team committees.
Yeah,
Over
all
to
the
you.
work, you did all the work. All right, let's take a quick.
I'm seeing Todd in the background.
I'll be back.
It's okay. Thank you.
Pues muchas gracias. Gracias por a involucrarnos como comunidad, tanto Greenfield, Soledad, King City, González. Es muy importante, ¿verdad? El poder ser parte de la historia de este proyectos. Parecía que no tenía fin. Meetings and meetings and meetings and diferentes situaciones, pero muchas gracias. Dios les bendiga y muchísimas gracias nuevamente.
She wanted to thank you for involving community when she mentioned the 4 cities in South County. And she said, well, it seemed like the story would never, they were happy to be part of the story, even though it seemed that it would never end with meeting after meeting after meeting. We've arrived at this point, so she's appreciative of being back.
So we want to say congratulations to each of these committees and to the partners. And I just wanted to also say that the $250,000 that our agency funded, that was really seed money, right? Because the idea is to get the process moving ultimately to find a larger project and fund and implement bigger changes. So this is seed money and we are very happy to do that. And again, congratulations to Ecology Action, Monterey County Health Department, the cities of Greenfield, Gonzales, King City, and Soledad, the steering committees that represented you and did good work going forth. So we want to congratulate them and thank them. So we have one final program to recognize, and this is Monterey Salinas Transit Commute with Enterprise Van Pool. So the Commute with Enterprise Van Pool program is a partnership between Monterey Salinas Transit and Enterprise to increase transportation options for commuters in Monterey County. This program was launched in 2022 with the goal of offering a better alternative to traditional commuting where fixed route bus service isn't the best option, or it could be an option, not an option at all, or there are currently 32 active van pools operating with over 240 participants. Van pool participants are made of commuters from both public and private sector. So what are the benefits? There's cost-saving benefits. You see them here on the screen. MST offers a $500 vehicle subsidy to offset the cost for van pool participants. That monthly cost includes a recent model van, SUV, or crossover, comprehensive maintenance program, 24/7 roadside assistance, insurance, and physical damage protection. There are also other benefits, environmental and traffic reduction benefits. 322 tons of CO2 emissions have been reduced in the last year. That's the equivalent of carbon sequestered by 248 acres of US forest in 1 year. The other benefit is traffic reduction. Over 108,000 trips in a single occupancy vehicle traveling over 858,000 miles have been removed from the already congested roadways in Monterey County. But the factor, this is the cool one, it's the happiness factor. Yeah, right. Participants enjoy a relaxing commute to their destination, can work, read, or connect with their fellow commuters, and can catch up on some sleep. Taking turns driving or leaving the driving to the person who enjoys it is a win for everybody. And this is a very innovative program that has been very successful in our community. And so for that reason, we want to recognize and congratulate Monterey Seniors Transit and Enterprise. And we're going to ask representatives from both of those businesses and agencies to come forth, please.
We'll let Christie take the honors.
I was wondering who was coming up for
She does all the
MST.
work. Thought you were out of
On the way in, after here, otherwise you get funny picture.
That's
lighting and space.
I was gonna ask.
You guys do all the work.
Part of the brain.
Okay. Can you show us your socks?
Sure.
Shoes.
They should make sense.
You gotta enjoy it, right? No, I'd like to thank the board and I'm Ricardo. I'm the operations manager for our branch here in Bay Area. We're a small division of Enterprise Rent a Car that provides long-term solutions for our customers, like Monterey Bay Aquarium. And so through the hard work of Christy at MST and Ronnie Capizzelli, our sales executive over in the area, they've been able to increase our penetration in the Monterey County, which has been great in order to assist more and more customers. And like she said, increase how many vehicles we have on the road. And so without everybody's help, we wouldn't be here. And so thank you very much for everything.
The MST Board of Directors who in 2022 approved the Better Bus Network as part of our overall goal of connecting communities, creating opportunity, being kind to the planet. This project is a great way for us to serve those in the community. The bus is great, but it doesn't always work for everyone. Right, so we have a large number of people, both in the working at our local military bases, working with in the ag industry, working with the hospitality industry, whose work hours don't match up with our bus schedules. And so this offers them a way to share a ride, offers them a way to get mobility to where they need to go. And so it's been a great success and continues to grow. I'd really like to thank Christy, though, who runs the whole thing and is hiding from everyone behind the camera. But I know she's uncomfortable in these situations, but I do want to point her out.
She did it.
Yes, she does.
We didn't forget it, Carl.
Awesome.
All right, so I am going to turn this over to Todd Mack, our executive director now, to finish up the program.
Thank you, Teresa. And it's appropriate Teresa's up here and you just got an example of her great work because my first recognition is Teresa's 10-year work anniversary. So she's been with it. Go ahead, Spot. I actually remember 10 years ago how excited I was when Teresa decided to join the agency. And she does a bunch of amazing things for us. One is an example of the Excellence Awards. The other primary job that she has is make sure communication for all of our projects gets out to the public. So when you see things from the Forteg project in Delray Oaks, or she works with the Marina team on the Edge of Parkway, and with staff as we do projects, making sure our communication is good and our outreach. So Teresa handles all of that for us, and she does a fantastic job, and she's just an amazing contributor to our team. So thank you, Teresa, for the 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
Beach.
All right, I'll do a speech. My picture's on the screen here. I just want to say thank you because working for this agency has really been an eye-opener and it's been positive. Because what I love about this agency is the collaboration. People work together to serve the public. And my colleagues, my coworkers, everybody's got their back. It's not about one individual or one ego. It's really about what's best for the community and how can we work together to make that happen. Previous to this, I worked in an industry that the personalities were dominant and very much about themselves. So this is really a great organization with great leadership. And I think that what speaks to the importance is that the fact that this is a regional board and each of you sitting around this board, you come together, you set aside your territory and come together to work for what's best for all of us collectively. And staff reflects that. So thank you so very much. It's been a great opportunity. I can't believe 10 years went by so fast. But I do thank you and thanks so very much.
Okay, wrapping it up over here. We have a special recognition for our outgoing chair, Chris Lopez. I think everything that Teresa just said I would echo. I think in regards to the leadership that outgoing chair Lopez has demonstrated, not just here at TAMC, but in every body that I sit on with him. TAMC is special as a regional body and that we have representatives from across our county. And throughout the county, we have just this variety of very unique and different issues that each of us are dealing with in our own jurisdictions. And here at TAMC, we come together and say, how do we balance the unique needs? How do we take the resources that we have and divide them up to where they're needed most and where we can leverage resources most? How do we balance our staff time and energy? How do we balance our own personalities when that comes into play? How do we balance what TAMC's needs are with other regional agencies who sit with us here? It's not always easy to have the answer. It's not always black and white in terms of how we move forward. But Chair Lopez, I think we can all agree, has skillfully helped us navigate difficult conversations to find the best compromises sometimes, but oftentimes it's the best way to bring all of our voices together so that we can have the best outcomes for our entire community, not just one community, one part of our county, but collectively what's best for our entire region, Monterey County and our Central Coast. And Chris, we're so lucky to have you in our community and on our county board and here at TAMC. And it's my honor and pleasure to present to you our Chris Lopez in appreciation of your term as TAMC Chair 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go far. And I'll be calling on you I just did ask for some support.
Got some advice here in the
Yeah,
corner.
got some advice in the corner,
Yeah.
but yeah, I really appreciate
Thank you,
everything you support us with,
Thank you.
and we're lucky to have you. So thank you. He wanted to know if he could pull the gavel off. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
You guys know I love a succinct meeting, and so I did want to share, I was remiss in not thanking TAMC staff. One thing that the public often misses in the work that we do together on this board is that it takes time to bring any project to fruition. Most learn of a project when it breaks ground, but it takes, in some instances, a decade for that project to hit the point where a shovel hits the ground. So I want to thank our staff for seeing through some of the key things that I know we didn't get to put a shovel on the ground on this year, and they didn't start under my leadership, but they will soon. And I know I heard repeatedly from my communities in South County who said, we feel overlooked, we feel unseen. But I know that this board is not part of that legacy. The legacy that you're leaving is a visionary one that sees everybody in the county. And I know that a lot of those projects are in the pipeline and about to break ground. So I want to thank you for that leadership. And I want to thank staff for recognizing those needs and seeing them through, because I know that many of those probably won't finish for another 10 years after they break ground, whether we're talking about the interchange there between Salinas and Chular, or the overpass near Chula are those big things that are gonna help save lives for our residents? Or because staff is seen them through, because this board has given them and empowered them to make those calls. So thank you for honoring me with the opportunity to lead, and but thank you for all leading every single day to the decisions you make. Thank you.
He is past chair and now new TAMC interpreter. Always gets a job.
And he's not going far, so please, again. So again, I'm gonna wrap up and say congratulations to everyone who is a recipient of the 2024 Transportation Excellence Awards. And then I also want to do a plug for next year. So next year, it's gonna be our 24th anniversary. It's gonna happen at the board meeting on January 21st. So all of you who are in the audience, all of you who are sitting around the dais, if there are projects in your community that you are aware of, keep this in mind as we go forth next year, because we certainly would like to showcase and recognize a project, a program, an individual, whatever it is that someone has done in your community to help improve the transportation network in Monterey County. And with that, we're going to end the Transportation Excellence Awards. Thank you all so very much.
All right, thank you. And thank you to our guests who are with us today. I know you don't often get to come to a Transportation Agency of Monterey County meeting, but it's a pleasure to have you with us. And we hope to have you again soon. You're welcome anytime. Thank you. All right, with that, we're going to move on to item number 6 on our agenda today, which is to receive an update and provide input on the recommendations for the Toro Park cut-through traffic pilot project. We have Doug Dulce to present. The floor is yours, Doug.
Yes, I just note to self, never go after a award ceremony. It's a little humbling after all those great projects, but part of it was this. So again, I'm Doug Dulce, project manager for the Toro Park pilot project. Teresa did an excellent job, kind of giving you a lot of these slides. So we all know the problem. People cut through. But let's go into detail. This is Portola Drive, and it was fairly congested. So typically, as a traffic engineer, you get this, oh my gosh, the traffic here is so bad. I just want you to know I validated everything that the committee was saying, and I was really amazed, honestly. This is right in front of you. You can see the school bus there. That's right in front of a school. And this is typical. So none of these, these were just pictures I took. I went out there and said, how bad could it be? It could get pretty bad. And Portola was so bad that what happened was there was cut through traffic we were talking about. So you get all these other roads that are parallel to Portola. And when people talked about it, again, exaggeration, I always say, take whatever the public says divided by 3, and that's probably reality. This is a residential street in Toro Park, and people were saying they couldn't get out of their driveway for 20 minutes. And I did not believe it. So I had to go out there and validate that. And I did. And so when you talk about, we're going to talk about 20, people were saying, hey, it took me an extra 15 minutes to get to Monterey, or 20 minutes. These people couldn't even get out of their driveway for 15 minutes, even longer. So this was a call to action. It was a community effort, but I think when we looked at the committee, I kind of want to go a little bit into process, because I think it's transferable to probably all of your agencies on lessons learned and how we came about building a consensus. And I think the word facilitator was used on my job, but it was really to channel the energy. I think everybody's kind of had those projects where there's a lot of energy, and I think a lot of the people that were on the committee, they felt like they were guardians, like making sure no bad decisions were made. But I kind of flipped that and I said, well, no, you're going to make the decision. They're like, well, you tell us and let us pick it apart. And I'm like, no, we're going to develop this as a group. And when you look at this, there is no way, typically we could get this kind of project done that fast. It was crazy. So February, we were asked to get something in place by the opening day of school, which is in August. And And as we were going along that, we put in the phase one, which we talked about, and then we'll go into detail. But right after that, the school said, hey, while you're at it, can you redesign the entrance to the school? And I said, well, we're already in the impossible realm, so why not? And this is opening day on the right there. It was incredible, and it's still to this day. I'm just amazed at how well it worked and how good this project came out. And then right after that, and we'll see, phase two is needed. People are wondering, well, was that needed? Let's go through this. So 500 trips, we're going and using Portola. And we just took out that Torero ability. The traffic was rerouted, and it took basically care of all that. So we got rid of the cut through traffic. All 500 trips had to get forced into Highway 68. That had ramifications we'll go into. Also, what we kind of realized as we were going, there were other projects going on in the area, Engineer Road, Davis Road, Hitchcock. All these roads were getting temporarily closed, and then the traffic was getting pushed to 68. Could we have waited? I don't think so, because there's always something going on. That's one thing with the pilot project. We realized as we had momentum, we had energy, we kept it going, we made decisions, we implemented decisions, and we reacted. And that's the key, is we kept moving forward and not backwards. And it was a great team. So we had a little bit more congestion on 68. And it's hard to say whether that was because of our pilot project or we were there. But I can tell you one thing, had we not done this, all those pictures you saw were probably going to be twice as bad because of that extra traffic. So you started to see people after phase one, you saw them taking Portola at another route. And anyone that says that we didn't need phase two, let me see if I can point it out. I mean, you can see, oh, sorry about that. Doggone it.
This didn't
There-
happen when I was chair, just saying.
See, like I said, it's not, you don't want to go after an award. But you can see this black truck. I mean, I was amazed. Look at how close that is to my car. I mean, it was it was insane what this guy or lady was doing to get all the way up there. We caught up with the car right there, and you can see that black SUV. But it was really, people are aggressive. So when people just say it's bad traffic, it goes beyond that. It's safety. You just have people doing bad things, and it's got the potential to be really a safety issue. So what we do, we basically did the same thing over here for 152 trips. So add that to the 500. So now we're going to be pushing 600-700 cars back onto Highway 68 that's already congested. Is it worth it? We'll see. So we took out another barricade and partial road closure and rerouted traffic back. So as we did this, you see phase one and phase two is installed first day of school. But the big thing here is we monitored, I was driving out there, everybody saw my beat up old Volvo out there, and they'd stop over and say, hey, Doug, I got to know the community really well. And we did workshops, and we came to the board. Some of you weren't here on the board at the time, but this is to bring you up to speed. But this is a very confusing. I hope this is confusing, because if it's confusing, I did my job. What you see here is phase one was installed, phase two was installed. Davis Road was closed, it was reopened. School was closed, then it opened. The signals on Highway 68 were uncoordinated. They put in a plan that was an old plan. It wasn't a good plan. It actually took a step backwards, because we said we got to get them coordinated. Then Caltrans came back, did a better signal timing plan. So all these things to say is that when you look at the worst for traffic, that cluster that I just showed you with the black vehicle, that was causing mayhem for people leaving the school to get back on the Highway 68. And it took up to 16 minutes just to get that couple blocks. Pretty crazy. Then we got phase two in place, that kind of blocked that, but then that pushed all that traffic over to 68. And at one time, from going to Portola to Torero, which usually takes 3 to 9 minutes, was taking 20 minutes. So it was all over the place, but we're kind of now back to where I kind of estimated this. So before the school opened, we put in the partial road block, and it was like, 8 to 11 minutes extra that the people on West Torero had to go around and come back. And we're right about there now. And I asked in the workshop, are we back to a new normal? And everybody seemed to agree, but we'll keep an eye on it. This was another piece that kind of a new way to look at things. Now, it may not make sense, but we asked the group, when we had the workshop, we had 220 people, I think, at the first workshop. We broke them into groups, and this was kind of interesting because, and I want to point this out to you, sometimes when you get a group together and you do a raise of hands or you do a survey, you totally get a bias and you get, a stacking of the deck of a certain community. So what we did was we broke it up, and we broke them up into groups and asked the same question. So sometimes we broke it up, where do you live? And so we got an idea of where people lived. Where did you drive in the morning? To Monterey? Do you drive to Salinas? Are you retired? And you can see each group is a different result. And basically the takeaway is, if you ask a question, was the pilot project a hardship? Have you missed events? Has it caused you distress? If I look just at the people in whole that went to the 220, I would have come to the conclusion 37% had a hardship. Oh, well, that's not too bad. And I could have left on that. But the way we broke it up, if you look at just the people that drive to Monterey, that was 60%. So all of a sudden we're like, you know what? And that was mostly the people that lived on the west side. So we realized we weren't done yet. So that first workshop, this is what we took away from it. Phase 1 doesn't work for Torero West. And so everything towards the Monterey side of the neighborhood and the school was having a really hard time getting rerouted and coming back onto 68. They were asking, can you, they understood this was important and it was needed, but could we do something? Phase 2, which was on the east side, they're like, that's a little bit too close to the residencies and impacting them. Congestion is limited. I think you heard that is only limited to a few hours. Can't we have a solution that's also just a couple hours in duration? Fund and permanent and look for a permanent improvements so that we can make it look nice. So oh, now I pressed. Okay, so we came back and we had the committee and we said, okay, let's look at solutions. And so this is Torero, so this is the west side. So everybody on the left side of the screen was going to have to go are going right now. They're going past the school all the way back, getting on the highway and coming back the same area. So we were at first, I had a roadblock that I couldn't engineer it out. But thanks to the committee and the community, they're just they wouldn't stop. They're like, you have to do this. You have to find a solution. And then I kind of came up with this idea. It's complex, but in essence, what we do is we move the location in front of the school. And what we do is we let only buses exit to the right, and everybody else is going to be forced back. So everybody that comes to the school has to get forced back eastward, but the buses can use the red route. And what that does is we're working with MST, and we'll kind of get to that. That could be a nice way to create a very inexpensive BRT, a bus rapid transit. So we're going to look at kind of gates that can come down. So okay, so we're researching this, and there's some questions on that. And I do want to point out, Randy Ishii from the county, the county has been just a phenomenal partner on this. And we're talking with them now on, okay, don't overpromise, right? So I want to make sure we have a reality here. There's some idea that maybe we could put a gate or something here that can be open just by the buses. And then all of a sudden, just for a couple hours, and then the rest of the day, it's opened up. So we're looking at that. Don't want to overpromise it, but that would be an innovative way. We haven't seen it done in California, but we got a feeling that we could be the first way. Don't say no. So This is a relocation. When we talk about that, so that's one of the recommendations is to relocate the Torero road, partial road closure to here. And then when we went to the January 5th, just Wednesday. So again, this is so fast. I was tallying up votes last night. So this was now when you look at it, what about the relocating the closure? You look at everyone and it's 2/3 almost. And West Toro Park is right in line now. Okay, the first time they were not in line with the group, now they are. Should we install gates if it's possible, or come up with some way to temporarily close it and then open it up? Pretty much like, sure, go forth and excel, both groups. And then would you recommend removing the road closures, kill the project? There's still 8% in general that says, hey, this is inconvenience. I don't have to worry about that truck cut through traffic, so why can't I keep driving back and forth? West Toro Park is still pretty high, 16%, but that flipped from like, I don't know, it's like 60% against it. So I think we've gone in the right direction. I'll get this sooner or later before the end. So now on Creekside, you can kind of see that there's residences right there with the cars. This is where the location is now. And they're recommending a pretty simple relocation a little bit farther down so that the residents don't have to hear all the problems. So that was pretty easy. That'd be what it would look like with a gate. And pretty easy, you know, how about that? Relocate, I should have said not to the school, I should say towards the fire station. 90%, should we do a gate when possible? 80%, would you kill the project? 10%. So we got consensus on those two things. How do we fund this? Where's that pot of gold? The thing is, we have to look at this as a bigger picture. And one thing I wanted to point out is that when we looked at the congestion on 68 is really the cause of it. We do have adaptive signals coming in, and we hope real soon. And when those adaptive signals come in, if they hit it out of the park and they can remove that cue that comes back and do a phenomenal job, we might not need as much, you know, of the effort in this, but I think it still needs to be done. We still need to have the eyes on the long-term solution, which is the roundabouts, and hope that the adaptive signals work, but realize that if they don't, we have a backup plan. So to get funding for the roundabouts and the ultimate solution, we were doing a corridor study to look at it, you know, kind of, we were told if we go for that grant on 68, it's not going to be as good if we don't put in some multimodal, you know, some bikes, some pads, ideas, transit. So that transit gate could help us very well. Safe routes to school, which I'm going to show you about. We thought, let's put a multimodal path in, and then tie the improvements into the roundabout project. So this is the multi-use path that we're talking about to connect the school to Fort Ord Monument, which also ties it into Laguna Seca. So you really get this beautiful path, and it's a goat trail, which means, you know, people use it enough that we know it's very widely used, but not for everyone, because not everyone can walk on a goat trail. So we have to make it ADA accessible. We have to make it useful for all users. This is kind of nice. There's already a break in there. So the county has already reserved this area for, it's an easement, and I'm not sure exactly why the exact width is done, but talking to Randy and his team, we're okay with this. It's a good use to put a path there. This is what we're talking about, you know, formalizing the multi-use path. You could have a little bit loose, you know, on the left side, so it's a little bit better for maybe joggers, and on the right side, paved facility. So pretty easy on this one. Do you like the idea? 90% agreed. Should we go to Fort Ord and the parking lot? This one is a tricky one, and I'm kind of glad I asked it, because at first I thought, why? Who's not for a path? A lot of times you get a path near a residential area, and you get that pushback. So we already know from I think it was about 60 people from the west side. I was concerned whether they like, hey, I don't want those people walking around, but you know, here it is, 90%, 84%. Let's go forth and excel. So the most important votes, I think, at the very end of last week's meeting, are we heading in the right direction? Yes. If we installed the gates in the new locations, is adding 8 to 12 minutes to the morning trips to Monterey Peninsula a fair trade-off for eliminating cut-through traffic? Yes. And then did we hear you? This is the most important thing, I think, in this whole project for me was, did the community feel heard? And each time I asked that question, it was more of a show of hands. I didn't want to put the dots on these, but you can see that's exactly what's being asked there. And pretty much everybody was like, yeah, you may not agree with me, but I was heard, and that was really important. So again, it's challenging that energy to a point where everybody's like, I understand where we're going and we're in the right place. So what's left? We're getting feedback today from you. You don't have to approve anything. This is a pilot project. You're handing it off to the county. So there's no real formal vote. It's just that, you know, head nodding or comments in, you could have done something better. You know, if you want to keep the pilot project there for longer, you know, let me know. But for now, we're saying it's done this month. We're going to hand it off to the Public Works. That can't really be done instantly, so it's going to be a process, but we're not going to test anything more. We've come up, I think, to our solutions. It's going to take us maybe up to 6 months to get those relocations in place and funding in place to get the long-term solution. We have a technical report. Now, you're not going to have to review it or approve it. It's just really kind of taking all that data that we did, the data we collected, my travel time runs, the counts, all that stuff, put in a technical report with these recommendations that we're talking about, and then heading it off to the Public Works, and then keep working with county staff. Again, I really tip my hat off to Randy and his team. They really did a great job installing this and being at all the meetings, and Penny's here now. You know, it's a commitment. They're all in. And then we worked for funding permanent solutions as part of the SB1 grant. And we have some funds that you allocated to this. We've spent it. I don't have a balance right now because the costs are still coming in, but what's left in that balance, we want to use towards this 6-month transition. So what are our recommendations? So we're there. This is basically, and you can ask more questions, we can make it more, but this is to make you aware of where it's going when it's going to become a county project. Relocate that phase 1 partial road closure to the school entrance, relocate the phase 2 partial closure to the closer to the fire station, research and implement movable barricades. I'm just going to call them gates, but already the county's kind of coming up with some ideas that's just like a great idea, you know, that we need to work at, but you don't need something blocking traffic 24/7, 365 when the problem is only in the morning. Easier said than done, though. Sometimes traffic, you know, we have some handcuffs on that, but we want to get beyond that. Upgrade the devices to create a residential character. These pictures at the bottom are what are there now. I also want to send a thank you to CHP. They're not here, but they did an outstanding job enforcing it. It's just been fantastic. Jessica's just done a phenomenal job with her team. I see them out there all the time, and it works because the people know that there is enforcement possibly, and they could get a ticket. But this is not residential character. You know, on the left, that's by the school. On the right, that's on Torero. So, you know, let's make it residential character, and then work with the county on a 6-month transition plan with the remaining funds. So that is our problem on 68. If adaptive signals takes care of that, we've done it. You know, we walk away. If it doesn't, we got to go to the roundabouts. We have to tell our community we've done everything possible to address this problem. This is not acceptable to say that's good enough. Until we've done everything, we've got to keep trying. So that's our goal. That's our focus. This Toro Park is just a reminder how important it is and how it affects communities and people's lives, the congestion that we have. So any questions?
Thanks, Doug. I think I'm going to start by opening up to public comment, so we can hear from the public. If we have anyone here with us in person, and I don't know if we done typically 2 minutes. Is that, yes, I think we'll stick with 2 minutes. And Randy Ishii from the County of Monterey, thank you for being here and thank you for your work on this project.
Thank you very much and good morning, Chair and Directors of the Honorable TAMC Board of Directors. As introduced, I'm Randy Ishii, Director of Public Works, Facilities and Parks for Monterey County. The County Public Works staff have been a project team member and encouraged to see that the pilot project has successfully built a strong consensus from the community, supporting a project to address the cut-through traffic, understanding that will cause some drivers to be rerouted. This is an effort that in the past, County Public Works staff, in conjunction with the tireless efforts of the supervisorial District 5 staff, have attempted over the years and have not been met with the same level of success, not nearly the same level of success that the TAMC team, in conjunction with the county and supervisorial District 5 staff, have been able to accomplish, as well as with the community support. Public Works staff supports the recommendation to relocate the current partial road closures, but the County Public Works staff need to identify capital and maintenance funds, approve plans, and take appropriate actions. For example, pass ordinances, do various environmental review, maybe some other study efforts, all of that are potentially needed steps before an interim solution is installed. Once the interim solution is implemented, the short-term, until the interim solution is implemented, the short-term traffic control measures are anticipated to stay in place for now. Regarding the long-term solution, County Public Works staff support the community recommendation to keep public roads open when cut-through traffic is not an issue. We will work with TAMC staff to identify the best way to achieve that goal. Our staff will need to vet the specific recommendation to install an automated gate to see if it is consistent with current laws and standards before staff can formally approve this concept. This may also involve collaboration and continued partnering with the school district. Thus, County Public Works requests that the remaining TAMC funds allocated for this pilot project be made available to fund a transitional period, approximately 6 months at this juncture, and that's to be used to install an interim solution based on the staff recommendations. Staff will develop a plan for the 6-month transition period to identify long-term funds, list actions that need to be undertaken, and evaluate which measures can be implemented on a temporary versus permanent basis. After this 6-month transitional period, the County Public Works will take the responsibility for moving this project forward and work with TAMC staff to secure funding, for example, in the form of grants for the permanent solution. Thus, we thank you all very much for your consideration, and we open the floor back up for questions and for any further public comment. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Randy. Any other public comment from anyone in the audience? You can approach the podium. Thank you.
My name's Nick Belly. I live on Ferdinand, which was one of the streets, in my opinion, most highly affected by the pass-through. I want to thank Doug. His efforts have been wonderful. He's put so much time and effort into it. It just amazed me how often he would spend hours driving through that traffic over and over again to get times. Just amazed us. And appreciate Teresa's being at the meeting, helping out at the meetings. It was really great. I want to thank TAMC for this whole process. I do have a couple comments though. One is that I hope in 6 months after the permanent solution has gone in place, we do a review of it to see what effect it's truly had on the school in particular. I am concerned that we're putting this in front of the school, and as a former teacher and as a father of a current teacher at San Benancho and husband of a teacher who taught at San Benancho for 38 years, and I have 2 grandchildren in the district, very concerned about the school. So I will be taking another look at it in 6 months or a year and see how it truly has affected the school. My other comment is for the walking path. I really would hope that we would look at a more useful path than just from the school to the trailhead, because I don't think many people walk that. But if we had a path that went all the way from, say, Toro Regional Park to the trailhead at Fort Ord, that would be, I think, a more useful walkway. And even more than that, if we could get a walk or bikeway all the way from Toro Park to San Benito School. No, there are a lot of students and teachers who would like to be able to take a different route to work, to bicycle to work, or walk to work.
Thank you, Nick. We're out of time.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Appreciate your comment. And thank you so much for being here today and for all of your work on this project. Anyone else in the chambers with us here today for public comment? All right, we'll go to online. Is there anyone online with us for a public comment, or maybe the raise hand feature wasn't working? But if there is a raise hand feature and you can use that, we will see if there's any public comment online. Not seeing any. Okay. With that, we'll close public comment and bring it back into the our board for discussion. And I'm going to give the pleasure of our District 5 Supervisor to get us started. And then I did see that Marina Mayor Brusagata has been raised. But Kate, go ahead and get us over here. Oh, great. Thank you. If it's hard to see.
Thank you. And I'm just coming in, 2 weeks into this job. So this does seem like it was an extraordinary effort from TAMC staff, and what a pleasure to come to my first meeting and hear about all this great work that's been done. I just have a couple questions. The first one is really about the SB1 funds that were mentioned, and then the question that it sounds like Director Ishii brought up about how the funds are going to be used from SB1. And I'm just curious if those were the same, if you are aligned at TAMC and Public Works about how to use those funds, or if there's a difference there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the SB1 funds, it comes in cycles, and it's a big pot of money, very competitive. We tried to submit the last cycle, and the project wasn't quite ready to submit, but we got enough feedback where they said, you don't have as good of a multimodal aspect to it, and transit and VMT, which is its own thing. So that kind of was working in the back of my mind, and then all of a sudden I was like, well, this gate was working in the back of my mind. All of a sudden, we got to move this west Toro Park, and it all kind of gelled together. I was like, hey, how about this idea? So with the gates and everything, if it works, we're all on the same page. It's just that it hasn't been done, and it's very innovative in its approach for those gates. It may require, it's not like it's against the law right now, but there's some restrictions in the vehicle code that need to be interpreted, or you go to a group that I was a part of, the California Transportation Traffic Control Committee, and you say, you know what, we'd like to try this out. So we're in line, I think, very closely, that we all want that solution. It's just a matter of, like I said, I don't want to overpromise. So, it's going to be innovative, and we got to push the limits on it.
Just a clarification. Yeah.
Could I clarify a little bit? Specifically to the SB1 question, the greater corridor, the 9 roundabouts, the larger project that Caltrans is close to wrapping up the environmental impact report for, is what the SB1 solution for congested corridors is one of the large grant that Doug was talking about, the primary state grant that we'd be pursuing for the greater corridor. And what I was going to add later, but the great thing about this project and Doug's work on it is that the community came to our public meetings related to the greater corridor, the Highway 68 corridor, and mentioned their frustration with this country traffic. We saw an opportunity where we might be able to help. And it turned out that we also came out with some solutions that might help the greater corridor project by combining pedestrian access and some bus access, and make a grant application stronger for the whole corridor. So it's a nice way to wrap this all up.
And we are doing a corridor study that in your consent item, one of them was to get funding for a consultant to complete that because this expanded that view of what the corridor was. So it isn't being just thrown in there haphazard. We have a corridor study and Caltrans. Also, I want to point out, has been an excellent partner in this. Sorry about that. I didn't emphasize there's been so many partners, but they worked very well on their end on this project.
And then the last question I have then is just about the public comment that was a request to extend the path from a larger distance from Toro all the way, it sounded like, to San Venancio School. If the community was interested in that, what direction would you give them in terms of how perhaps they or our office can work with an additional entity to try to extend the length of that path in the future?
Well, I know our committee's kind of dying to meet again. We had a pizza party and we had a Christmas party and
So we'll connect.
I think we can connect. I think we got some smiles out of that one.
Yeah.
I think we can do that.
Excellent, thank you.
And so we'll go to Bruce, and then I couldn't see who's at the into OR. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. My big picture question is, the corridor study, does that include everything about roundabouts and AI? And then my specific question is, it sounds like TAMC likes the combination of roundabouts and AI to achieve the best result. But it sounds like the AI proponents, such as Dwight, think that the AI will make the roundabouts unnecessary. So can you answer those two questions?
Yes, that was one, but let me see if I got it. The main thing is AI is intended to be installed the whole corridor, all 9 intersections. There's a limitation on signals. So signals can only work so well, period. So when you get the most out of the green time, when the light's green, the AI gets you a lot more out of the green time, but it has to circle around. You have to have a red light. For every green light, 7 movements get a red light. A roundabout is constantly moving, so it's been shown it can push more traffic on a consistent basis. But in the peak hour, if you really drive it with a signal, you can get some benefits out of it. So the ideal situation is we put in AI and it just magically resolves everything. We say, hey, we don't need roundabouts, but our simulations, our studies have shown that. So the part about that is the comprehensive sustainable multimodal corridor study is going to look at the whole corridor. The baseline is going to be with AI. So we're assuming, it's in place, so we're going to start it off saying, okay, with the AI and our optimistic view of it, what would roundabouts do it? And if the roundabouts show like, there's not much better with the roundabouts where it's a pro and a con, then we'll reevaluate it. And so that'll be part of the corridor study and we'll put it in there. And I think, does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Great, then Mike.
So mine, just for clarification, I think Mr. Ishii said it, but I want to make sure. In the interim, the current project stays in place and that will continue, so there won't be any gap of what's happening now that's causing some alleviation of the concerns. The project continues and then the interim comes in to a permanent. Correct?
Yeah, and it's dependent on, we have funding that was allocated 150,000 for this project, but we spent time renting the equipment. So we have to look at what's available. And we're hoping that we can either keep it in place or relocate it and go for the 6 months for the county to find a funding source for the rest of it. Is that fair to say? Yeah.
Thank you. That's good, Mike?
Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah, well, first I want to thank Dwight for educating me on AI lights. It's something I brought to the city of Salinas as well. We're also facing something similar to what you are facing along Ronda Road. Several roundabouts, over $100 million to be brought. And if the group is willing and wants to meet, I'd love to meet with you to see how we can form a group in the city of Salinas for Ronda Road. But I just want to commend you for coming together and working on this. This is like somebody who sits here as dream, a group of passionate, enthusiastic individuals working along staff to come up with some amazing solutions. It's like a dream. So I commend you all, and I really love the opportunity to host you here in Salinas. to see how we can get a similar group going here. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make the connection to some of your recommendations, I think, are based on when you're talking to the residents, what they have to look at and what they move towards a permanent solution. I'm sure that the hope is a better looking traffic control, traffic stops, turn signals and all of that. And so I just wanted to highlight the input that I've heard from residents, and it's amazing how we all represent our own districts, but we also represent TAMC, and how this project highlights the information we've heard from our own constituents. And my constituency happens to include both of the wards and most of downtown Monterey. So I've been given updates and current developments and the complaints and, you know, the success stories. So it's been good to see that. And the one thing I've heard overall is thank you. The solutions are working. They're looking forward to the long-term solutions. And I love the way you have outlined it as a pass over to the county public works. And I think that's an appropriate, it's time for us to say, okay, now the county has a responsibility, but I think the partnership has been fantastic. One little piece is the residents, I think, are going to deserve to have something that's aesthetically pleasing when they have to look at it. And so whatever the outcome is, if the residents are looking at ugly, it will not be successful. As the traffic control is designed, I hope that they will keep in mind the residents have whatever traffic controls are permanent. The residents are the ones that look at that all the time. So it needs to be designed with the residents' input in mind, functional, but also that does not look like it's concrete and orange plastic and the stuff that's temporary. So I'm sure that the county recognizes that the permanent solution has to fit into the neighborhood, because the neighborhood has told me they want to get back to their normal neighborhood where they don't have the impacts, but they also don't want a cure that's too much of an impact that changes the character of their look of their neighborhood. So that's just my.
Yeah, and I could point out that I worked when I was at the city of Monterey, we did one at English and Casanova. That it was my exact thinking. There's an example there. And then I'm kind of glad the last two speakers, the two members, you both have adaptive in your cities now. So we have adaptive signals working in the area. And so we do have examples of that. So you know, we'll be looking at your staff to kind of see, you know, what to be learned when we get to the 68.
Yeah, we have some failures, so we'll share with you.
Exactly.
Any other board comments? Feedback? Yeah.
Thank you. Just quick, a couple of comments. I was here from the beginning of it, so to have the solution, and I mean a solution to fix the problems. It's not a permanent fix, but to get this far in such a short amount of time goes to Doug and especially the community members and the staff at TAMC. Comfortable with everything, appreciate signing off and pushing over to the county. I think it is their responsibility nowadays. But my concern, I guess, to the general managers, I guess my question is, what is the deal with the trail? I don't understand how the trail is linked to the solving the solution of the cars and the pass through. How is the trail and connecting the trail from that community to the trailhead at the National Monument? Well, what is that?
It provides some opportunities for people to walk to those two destinations without versus driving, and finding ways that folks can walk their kids to school versus having to drive them to school is always something that we're looking for. So it's a small connection, but it connects two neighborhood nodes with and so it's a nice connection to have. And so it's more of an opportunity to add to the project versus the focus of the project.
No, I understand it's not focus, but we're adding to it. So I still had a concern, and I look for the county because we had the same concerns in my community about linkage and trails to our a non-existent trail here to our community and the National Monument too. And so I'd be looking to talk to the county about that, about how ways to solve it. So just wondering. But it's a beautiful fix to the problem that the bypass is causing that community and shouldn't be allowed to happen. So, and then my last comment is I agree with Director Smith about the aesthetics of the gates and stuff, should be looking nice.
Any other board talks?
Thank you. Appreciate everybody coming together for this important initiative. I just had a clarifying question, Doug. Noting that this is going to the county as you portray it, is this still coming to the TAMC in a future for any kind of like decision-making process? Is it coming to the board at all?
That's a good question. My intent, if it works out the way I have it in my head, our role was to be a facilitator to find a solution for the county. And I think that was a unique thing. I don't think we typically do that, but I actually, I've helped with South County cities. So that's kind of a part of my job, is to help facilitate, not to this extent, to conduct the public outreach, but we kind of got the solution. We gave them the idea, we did the public outreach, we built consensus. That's usually the hardest part of a project, but it is a county project. So they will be expected to take it on now. There could be funds that we help them with to get the grants, but that's kind of the idea, is that it'll be the county. We were allocated $150,000 when we get our bills for what it costs to rent the traffic control. If there's not enough money to get us to 6 months, we might come back and say, okay, we need to partner. But there's no actions you need to take for the county to take it over, but there might be something, talking to Randy, there is some things that are going to be a challenge. It's not a real simple thing to get to the interim, but you don't have to take any action that I could see, but maybe coming back to you to say, well, we want to use the 150,000. Right now it's been allocated. I think it's implied that we can use it towards that, but that would be a good input here. If you'd rather me to come back before any money is spent on something that isn't quote unquote the pilot project and an interim solution, I'd be happy to come back with that.
Got it. And just for clarification too, this also means you representing TAMC in 6 months, you're essentially going to phase off of the project, and somebody like you from the county would be representing the community, the county, and taking things forward.
Yeah, I'm it doesn't matter. Whatever they need, I will, I think this is something I'm committed to it. Probably after I'm not even employed. I mean, I built a really good.
Part of the family now.
Part of the family. We're gonna have a Christmas party, I got there, so, but I honestly, I will serve as a resource to get this thing to the finish line.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. And Marianne.
Yes, I'm in agreement with the more permanent pleasing, looking, no orange cones, delineator type deal as you move on with this project. And also just a question on the trail, do we know what type of materials that would be? And if it is a permanent trail, that upkeep or maintenance of the trail responsibility.
That's a really good question. And what I wanted to really do here is, a lot of times when you go for a grant, the question is, did you go out to the community and get support? So those are details that come out when we go for the grant, and we talk about the specific aesthetics of it. And again, when we went to Monterey, it was aesthetics was really big when we did that partial road closure. So we have to find out we can't put in curbs and gutters now as if it was a partial road closure permanently, we could go to that. But if it's going to be a gate or something like that gets removed, we don't want to put curbs and gutters in yet in landscaping. So first we have to figure out what the long term is, and then we could do the landscaping, the pretty part of it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Last call for board comments, and we will, I think we've provided some good feedback, some good comments. Randy, thank you so much for being here, Randy Shea from the county. And I know Kate, your team will follow up, Randy and Doug, thank you so much for just engaging. And you're right, bringing people together, engaging in the process. I mean, there's so much work that goes into that. And clearly the community has been active and engaged, and we thank the community for helping us get to the point that we're at now. So let's hear it for the community. And we gave a round of applause earlier, but really appreciate it. All right, so we're moving along. I'm just doing a quick time check. It's about 10:50. We've got a couple more closed session items this afternoon. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here moving forward. I wanted to, before we go on to our receiving our reports from our transportation providers, I wanted to quickly give a shout out and welcome Debbie Hale, who's in the audience with us today. Our former director. Thank you for joining us, Debbie. It's great to see your face here. I also wanted to just briefly welcome our newest board members. We have with us today Jeff Barron, who's our alternate for the city of Carmel. Welcome to TAMC. And your primary board member is
Bob Delves.
Bob Delves, who will be with us, I guess, in the future. But thank you for joining us, and we're happy to have you. Please introduce yourself to Jeff if you haven't already met him. We also have Kate Daniels, who's newly elected to the Monterey County Board of Supervisors for District 5. So if you don't know Kate, please introduce yourself. Welcome her to TAMC. And then Anna Velasquez from the city of Soledad, who's not here with us today, but longtime representative from Soledad. So she'll be with us in the future. So just want to make sure we warm welcome to all of our newbies. And we will move on to our receiving, item number 7, receiving reports from our transportation providers. And we will start from Caltrans.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, directors. My name is Kelly McClendon. I'm a senior planner with Caltrans District 5 here on behalf of District Director Scott Eads. I have 3 brief announcements this morning. The first is a very timely announcement based off of a couple of things that we talked about earlier today. This is an update for our Highway 68 Adaptive Signalization Pilot Program. As we have mentioned in the last board meeting, and we had a few comments about it earlier today, our district traffic operations has received approval from headquarters for installing this project. And that is for all 9 intersections from San Benicio to Olmsted. And since we received that approval from headquarters, our district team has been finalizing the preliminary design for the project. Our preliminary designs were sent for structural evaluation up to the Division of Engineering Services back up at headquarters a couple weeks ago. And the Engineering Services Division will be reviewing it. That review should take about 4 months. After structural approval by the Engineering Services Division, then we can construct the adaptive traffic signalization equipment and cameras. Our traffic operations is also refining our cost estimate for the equipment. And that refined cost estimate will incorporate aspects that we previously discussed with TAMC, and we're in regular communications between TAMC senior staff and our Caltrans engineering staff, which the cost estimates will include the equipment costs as well as any support costs. We're also developing draft co-op language for the project in terms of acquisition, installation, maintenance, and reporting. And that draft co-op language will include itemized Caltrans support costs for the effort. We're nearing completion on the draft co-op language, and we'll discuss this further with TAMC staff for review and concurrence once we have that draft developed. In total, the estimated installation of the system is in about 8 to 10 months from the execution of our co-op agreement. So the next 2 announcements are really quick. The first one I just wanted to, this is a little bit in the northern portion of Monterey. Most of this is in, actually, I think that the full limits are in San Benito County. We finished our eucalyptus tree removal near Rocks Road on US 101. In total, we removed a total of 265 trees, and we've begun our planting and plant establishment process. And we'll establish revegetation efforts through March of 2026. The revegetation will be with all native plants. And then finally, as a final reminder, our Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant application period ends today at 5 p.m. Please see the website for information on how to submit your application if you have to do so. That's all I have, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you so much for joining us today. And please pass our regards along to Scott. Do we have anyone from the airport district, OIJC?
Carl.
We have Carl, sorry, thank you. Carl, any reports from the Monterey Regional Airport District?
Can you hear me?
We can. You look kind
Okay,
of shy.
great meeting today. Yes, we got our bond rating in. We're AA -1. We hope to go out to bid within the next month for our new terminal project. So more good news to come.
All right, thank you very much for joining us today and for that good news. We always like the good news. Appreciate it. Thank you. Next up, we've got Monterey Salinas Transit. Any updates from you today,
Thank
Carl?
you, Chair. Just a few. Starting yesterday, line 25 from Salinas to CSUMB started back up again for the new semester. And starting on Monday, January 27th, the line 47, which is special service to the LSL campus for Hartnell, will begin again as well. At the beginning of this new year, we started new services on line 31 in Gonzales, line 32 in Soledad. These are local community circulators with time connections to the regional Route 23. And then we also have a new service kicking off as well, line 40, which makes a time connection with the 23 from downtown Salinas directly to Rancho Cielo, so that Rancho Cielo students from throughout the region can have public transit access to that campus. We also had a little bit of news last week where we secured $22.17 million of federal transit funding for our SURF project. We've got that in under the wire. Good news. And that was a really bad analogy. I'm gonna have to come up with a new one on that. So we had news later that same week on Friday. We learned that we received another $500,000 in funding for a pilot project with Hartnell College that will to work on connecting their student ID verification system with our contactless payment system, so that a Hartnell student ID will be able to be used as a contactless payment option. And while the pilot program is funded with Hartnell, we're designing this such a way that as soon as that's done, we'll be able to do the same with MPC and CSUMB when they're ready to proceed, and will likely be a model used throughout the state for connecting college student IDs as a payment method on board buses using the contactless payment scheme. So that was a fun grant to get. 2 grants in 1 week. Wasn't a bad week last week. So thank you very much. That concludes my report.
Awesome. We like the good news, Carl. Thank you. We expect more of the same
Sure.
throughout the entirety of 2025. Thank you so much for the update.
Can I ask a question too?
Yeah, let's finish with Bart, and then we can circle back to questions. Do we have anyone from Monterey Bay Air Resources District? I thought I saw David Frisbee on the line.
Yes, hello, Dave Frisbee here. Just a few updates. We've got our electric vehicle incentive program where we offer $1,500 for an electric towards the purchase of electric vehicle. We double the incentive for low-income applicants. That program is running quickly and very smooth. We're almost out of funds for that program. So if you're interested in buying an electric vehicle, now's the time. our mobile source emission reduction grants, we've got that we fund through DMV fees. That program, we're getting grant applications out or grant agreements out. We've got one in particular that we're proud of. We have the street sweeper for the county of Santa Cruz. We've offered $200,000 for that grant. That street sweeper is going to serve both Chular and San Lucas.
In Santa Cruz County. Just kidding. It was Monterey, right?
Monterey County, yes. And then we've got our community air protection program, $234,000 grant towards the purchase of an electric bus for the Monterey County Office of Education. So that bus was delivered in December. And for our Carl Moyer program, we get funds from the state of California for various projects. We have a project at 1463 North Davis Road near the Westridge Plaza. It's for 2 dispensers for electric vehicle charging, $177,000 grant from the state. And so that completes my update. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Board questions, comments on our updates? Go to Bruce and then Chris and then Bruce.
So I just want to acknowledge that none of this transportation work happens without coffee first, and I failed earlier as chair to acknowledge that we have a new coffee provider in the building. They go by the name of Ability. So when you show up, if you've not yet fueled up, there is an opportunity to stop in at the cafe here in the building and fill up. They have a very unique mission focused on providing employment for youth in our community, especially those who are neurodivergent or who are disabled. So it's a new opportunity to get your caffeine fix here in this particular building, and invite you all to partake at after this meeting or after your next meeting.
What does neurodivergent mean?
Well, that may be a conversation for after the meeting. But we'll make to TMC specific business for now. All right, go ahead, Bruce.
Carl, you probably are not surprised to know that the SURF project is still of immense interest in the marina. And so I just wanted an update either now or later. I think the total project cost right now is about 105. And my question is, how much federal funding does it include? And how much federal funding was originally anticipated to be included? And if you want to tell me later, that's okay.
We can talk offline.
Thank you. Fantastic. Okay. Any other board questions or comments related to item number 7, our transportation provider reports? All right, I'll just have one quick, huge expression of appreciation to all of our transportation providers, to Caltrans, MBAR, the airport, Clean Water Solutions Transit for the support in relation to the Moss Landing Vistra facility fire this past weekend. I know that and to every single one of our partners around the table here who provided mutual aid assistance. I know every single jurisdiction came together to help respond to that and coordinating efforts. It was an all hands on deck situation, and we appreciate rerouting of buses, having the freeway closed. It was all of our partners working together to make sure that we had a phenomenal response to that situation. So just a big shout out of appreciation. Please go back, tell your folks. We appreciate being able to call on our partners to respond. So, okay, with that, we will, any public comment on item 7, our transportation provider reports? Anyone in the audience? Anyone online? Well, yep, please approach. Please approach the dais so we have that on the sound. Yeah, thank you.
It's just a quick question on clarification. Quick question, sorry, I'm Barry Jackson. So a quick question on clarification from a guy from Caltrans. Could you tell me when the actual 8 to 10 months will start from? Because you said after the co-op agreement is signed. Have you got a date in your plan for that signature to happen?
We don't typically do engagement for public comment, but if we could have follow-up after the meeting, we can get your question.
I thought you asked me to come.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, any other public comment on, yep. We'll make sure we get the audio for everyone. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering, as far as Caltrans is concerned, as to why it is taking so long for the design. And it sounded like it's going to headquarters for another 4 months, even though the design was supposed to be done in December. So it just seems like a long time for design, and I was asking Caltrans, has the vendor been selected as to what equipment is going to be installed in the corridor, and how much can the vendor aid in doing the design? Because it seems like design before the vendor is selected is like the cart before the horse. So when will the vendor be selected, and how much can they contribute to getting the design done quickly, so there's not so much time delay in getting this whole project installed? We want it correctly done, but it seems that the vendor is not being included as much as what could be done, and to get this project moved up before this another 8 to 10 months, so we won't even get the project done before the end of the year. And then lastly, what has Caltrans done in coming up with a measurement of the before and after effect, so that we have established what AI adaptive will do for the corridor? And as Doug said earlier, that will be the benchmark then for any decision going forward. So what mechanism will be done for evaluating the before and after effect of AI? Thank you.
Great, thank you for your question. And Kelly, if we could just ask you to follow up directly with answers. Great, thank you. All right, I don't see any other public comments. I didn't see any hands raised online, so we're going to close our item number 7, transportation provider reports. Move on to item number 8, reports on meetings attended by board members at transportation agency expense as required by state law. Are there any reports to be provided? No reports as reported by Todd Black. Okay, we will receive no reports. We'll move on to our executive director's report. All you, Todd.
Thank you. Just one quick item. It's a save the date on February 8th. We're going to have a celebration of the Salinas Sidewalk Art Project. This is the installation of sidewalk art by local artists making safe routes to schools in East Salinas. It was a project done in partnership with the city of Salinas through a Clean California grant and Measure X funds. It should be, the location is being confirmed. It should be Closer Park, but we'll send out a confirmation at the end of the week. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll look forward to it. Any public comment on our executive director's report? Board comment, public comment. Closing public comment. Closing board comment. We'll move on to item number 10, announcements and/or comments from transportation agency members on matters they wish to put on future transportation agency agendas. Any board requests? We'll start with Bruce, then go to Andrew.
For the consent agenda in the future, and no rush, I was wondering if TAMC could describe for board members what our authority is to handle all transportation in Monterey issues, not just rail. Because there's some stuff going on with social media where people are evaluating TAMC's legislative authorities, et cetera, and coming up with the conclusion that we're supposed to be focused only on rail instead of the things that the Monterey County Transportation Commission used to do as our predecessor. And it made me realize that I am not well versed in what form TAMC under what sideboards. And so I think probably others might not either know. And so I thought that would be a good consent agenda item for the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if a future agenda item or speaking with Todd, but talk about the Veranda congestion project. Maybe we can partner with TAMC or see how we can do something similar to what they did off of Highway 68.
Is it an agenda item or?
Yes, that's an agenda item. Well, let's start with a conversation with Todd, but I think it should
Be a conversation and then. Right. Anything else? All right, sounds good. Any public comment on this item number 10? All right, we'll close item number 10. We do have 3 closed session agenda items. Sorry, 2 closed session. We have a closed session number 1, which is public employee performance evaluation pursuant to government code section 549 54957 positions, executive director and agency council. And then a closed session number 2, which is under government code section 54950 related to the following items pursuant to government code section 54956.9 D1. We will confer with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, pre-existing items of litigation, and we will reconvene in open session, report any actions taken. Is there any public comment in regards to our closed session item? Anyone in chambers? Anyone online? All right, we will close public comment and excuse those who are not participating in closed session. And are we reconvening in open session or will we reconvene from closed session? Okay, we'll reconvene. Okay, great. Oh, yep, all right, here we are. We are reopening open session. Do we need to do a roll call? To reopen open session?
No, ma'am.
No, okay. We are reconvening in open session, reporting any action taken.
No action taken.
All right, and we are adjourning. Our next transportation agency meeting will be on Wednesday, February 26th, 2025 at 9 a.m. in the Monterey County Government Center Schilling Place, IBN room. Thank you all for joining us and we'll see you again next month.
Thank you. Congratulations.